Hi, Russell Nollen here. Thank you for joining me. In this episode, I'll show you how you can change the strings on your electric guitar. Now, the guitar that I'm using here to change the strings on has a fixed bridge. As opposed to something like this that has a vibrato bar or floating bridge. I'll address this issue in another video at some time, but for now, if you have anything with a stop tailpiece, a fixed bridge, or any kind of a Strat style net headstock, this will work for you. Stick around, you might just learn something. Your guitar strings will age gradually and need periodic replacing. Even if you do your best to keep your hands clean before playing, keep your strings clean after playing, keep the strings in tune, and store your guitar in an ideal climate, your strings will wear out. Your strings should last about 3 months. They may need replacing a little sooner, a little later, maybe much sooner, maybe much later, depending on several factors, including how much you sweat, how corrosive your sweat is, how you clean your strings after playing, how much you play, how hard you play, and the environment that you keep your instrument in. Your strings have an elastic property to them. In time, they'll lose their ability to stretch and hold an even tension along the length of the strings. If your strings are duller in color or have corrosive spots on it, yeah, it's way time you change your strings. If they are a little bit difficult to get in tune or to keep in tune, or if they're out of tune as you start playing various chords, various notes along the fretboard, they're difficult to tune, then it's high time you change your strings too. And as strings age, they will sound a little duller. They'll lose their shiny color as well as their shiny tone, and they'll feel a little rougher. Now, if you're ready to change the strings, I'm going to show you how. The first recommendation that I have for you is to take your guitar to either a professional guitar technician, a luthier, or a guitar teacher to have them recommend the proper string gauge and string set for you and your guitar. If you choose to replace your strings with a different gauge than what you have on your guitar, then your guitar may need adjustments to correct for the change in string tension. And for that, you can take it to a luthier or a guitar technician. If you select a string set that is similar or identical to the strings that are currently on your guitar, then we will proceed with changing them here. Before we begin, have the following tools ready. Your set of replacement strings, a string winder, wire cutters, something to tune with, and a microfiber cloth for cleaning. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is remove the old strings off of this guitar. The way to do that is right at the tuning posts. You can tune it by hand, or if you have your string winder with you, this will be a little quicker. Just unwind them, and you want to play the string and unwind it until it's completely slack. And we'll just work our way up to the 5th string, 4th string post, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st. And the next thing we'll do is cut them just in front of the bridge. And I'm going to hold on to the other side so that once they're cut, they don't fly away. And we can just pull out the strings from the ball end from the bridge. just like so. And then the headstock, what I like to do with one hand on all strings here, take that into a coil. Go through it once, twice, and they're not going to go anywhere that way. And from here, you just pull them right out. Just that easy. Now with the strings off, we can do a little bit of maintenance on this guitar. If you've seen in other guitar videos from me previously, with an acoustic steel string guitar and a classical guitar, I'll use a lemon oil on the fretboard to condition it. Here, this fretboard is finished, so we're not going to do that. Instead, I can just use a microfiber cloth and just take off any dust, dirt, oil, whatever gunk happens to be on there. And especially while the strings are off, we can get into the hard to reach places. Take off any excess grime. And certainly around these areas here, where with the strings on, it could be quite difficult. And another tip for you too, getting in here can be a little tricky sometimes with just a finger and a cloth. Just a Q-tip in a little tight to reach areas like this can help out quite a bit. And personally, I don't recommend using any polishes, cleaners, any cleaning agents on it. A microfiber cloth and a little bit of elbow grease is really all you need. Now we're ready to install the new strings. Your string set should clearly label which string goes where. And by the way, this is not a brand that I recommend. This is just a brand that I use, a set that I use, and a gauge that I use. It's just my preference, nothing more, nothing less. And we're going to unpackage them, just like so. And there it is, too. Each string clearly labeled. First string, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth, all color-coded. Your string package may be a little different, your brand may be different, and that's fine. Whatever works for you. Okay, we're going to start installing the strings one at a time from the bridge. You can otherwise change the strings one at a time. From time to time, I like to do a little maintenance, do a little extra cleaning where it's hard to get to, and change them all at once. No harm doing that. And you can start with whichever string you want to. We're going to start with the first. By the way, you want to, once you get the strings out of the package, one by one, I'm going to unravel them gently, like so. With the ball end at one side, in one hand, the other side here, that's what's going to go through the bridge. Up and over the saddle. Just pull that all the way through. One at a time. Again, just to unravel that one. Unravel them gently so you don't pull any kinks or twists into it. And through the bridge, up and over the saddle, and pull it all the way through. Third string, unravel it gently. Through the bridge, up over the saddle, hold it all the way tight. Now for the wound strings. Fourth string, through the bridge, up and over the saddle, and pull it all the way tight. This string, again, through the bridge, up and over the saddle, pull it all the way tight. There it is. 6th string. There we go, through the bridge, up and over the saddle, all the way tight. And there, we have the ball ends secured at the bridge. Next, we'll secure the other end of the strings into the tuning posts at the headstock. We'll start with the 1st string. Over here, you want to pull that all the way tight, and it's going to go into the 1st tuning post. And since this is a slotted tuning post, that string is going to go straight down into the center of that post. This can also work if you have a hole in the center of the tuning post shaft. Either way, this will work. You can measure off about a finger's length distance from the post, or do this, something like this, about 2 posts away. And from here, measure that off, cut it off, and take that end straight down into the center of the tuning post, and bend that around. And while using one finger to guide with, and the other fingers to hold pressure onto it, and guide it through, spin that around, and this string should spiral downward underneath itself. And you can pull it until it's making a pitch. We're not going to worry about getting it perfectly in tune yet. We're going to stretch and prime the strings after we get them on. For now, we're just looking to install them. So we go to the 2nd string, about a finger's length distance from there. Clip off the excess. Feed that in directly to the center of the tuning post. Down and around. And then holding as a guide finger here, and then holding tension with the other side of the hand. And give that a wind. Let it spiral downward. It should wrap around the post, ideally about 3 to 4 times. For a thinner string, you want a little bit more wrapping around. For a wound string, as we'll see later, a little bit less. Now the 3rd string. Again, measure off about a finger's length distance. Cut off the excess. And feed that in right to the center of the post. Bend that down and around. There we go. And just spin that around while holding a little pressure on this and guiding it through. And the fourth string, again about a finger's length distance. Cut off the excess. That right through the center of the post, down and around. Hold a little tension on it, guide it through, wrap it around. Now the fifth string, again about a finger's length distance, a little less if you like. These are wound strings and don't require as much wrapping around the tuning post. Right through the center, down and around. And we'll just give that a little spin. And for the sixth string, again about a finger's length distance, perhaps a little less. Clip off the excess. Let that wrap around. And right through the nut slot there. And there we go, all 6 strings installed. Next, we'll tune it. Again, it doesn't have to be perfectly in tune. Close is good for now. We're going to prime them and stretch them. E, high E for the first string. B for the second string. G for the third string. D for the fourth string. A for the fifth string. Low E for the sixth string. Well enough. Now the next step we're going to do is crucial to getting these strings to stay in tune once they're installed. And what we're going to do once the strings are installed and close to perfect pitch is we're going to stretch the strings. And what I'm going to do is grab it right about 12th fret. I'm going to hold on to it right about 1st fret, because otherwise if I pull up on it, it'll have a tendency to pop, see, right out of the nut, right there. And we want to get these strings in tune, not just stretch them. So what we're going to do, pull it right about 12th fret, give it a gentle tug upwards along the length of the string. A firm but gentle tugging and stretching. And I'll continue on every string like so. Then we'll bring them back up to pitch. And maybe you can hear that, maybe not, but that just dropped about half a step in pitch. That's pretty common. That otherwise would have taken anywhere from hours to days to stretch on its own along the length of that string to get in tune. Here we can set it much faster. In this way, you won't be playing for hours or for days, wondering why your guitar won't stay in tune. If that happens, chances are you missed this step. Now we're going to give it one more stretch. Your guitar may or may not need this if you bring it perfectly up to pitch after having strung it, stretched it, and primed it. It might stay in tune just fine like that, especially if you have a fixed bridge. But just to be sure, we're going to grab these strings, give them a little bit more of a tug and a twist. And we'll check its tuning one more time. Pretty close. All right, stretched, primed, freshly installed, perfectly in tune. This guitar is ready to play. All right, fresh new strings. They look good, they look shiny, they sound bright, they play bright, they feel good, they're perfectly in tune. This guitar is ready to play. Thanks again for watching. I hope that these tips have been helpful to you. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to email me here. I look forward to seeing you again very soon.